kind of want to just talk about webinars in general because this is kind of a big deal. And essentially, if I had to pick a single tool and video marketing tool that has been like the best thing for my business, and I think would be the best thing for just about any kind of business, it would have to be webinars. I like to use webinars as content, so I thought I'd just touch upon a couple of those, and then we'll talk about some tools to help do that. The thing is that webinars are on-screen presentations, and they're almost synonymous with doing a live event. And what I like about webinars, as opposed to just sitting down and doing a script and, kind of fleshing out a video, especially maybe a sales or pitch kind of video, is that in a webinar, you can really kind of act like it's a live presentation in the sense that I'm speaking and you can get wrapped up in it a little bit, and you can get a little bit emotion, and you can get some inflection going that you just surprisingly probably won't get if you are reading from a script or just trying to make a video. So in that sense, it's an on-screen presentation, and presentations can certainly be powerful kinds of things. If we record those as video, we get to kind of take advantage of all kinds of that yummy presentation goodness captured as video. So that's one thing that I really like. So we record them. We record every single webinar we do. But another thing that I like about webinars is, for me, sometimes I tend, and maybe some of you folks can relate to this, I tend to, gosh, how shall I put this, procrastinate, especially when it comes to creating some kind of video content. Here's the thing. I promise you that from tonight's webinar, I'm going to get some content. I get to help all you fine folks out, and that's awesome. But I know for a fact that there have been a couple of little tidbits that we'll talk about tonight that are going to be recorded as video content. I can edit it, and the thing is, I have to be here to make all of that happen. I'm here recording this content with you guys because at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday evening, I got to be here, right? And for me, it's just a really good way to push that production envelope, if you will, and that production accountability. And we take this one step further by creating specific events to create products. So if you think about it, we can deliver a presentation and a set of tutorials I can walk through, and I can show you how to do this and how to do that. And at the end of that, I could have a product, right? A digital information tutorial training product. Okay? But the key is that I have to prepare, and I have to show up at a specific time to deliver the content. And for me, that's just kind of a beautiful productivity thing. So it's date and time and specific, you got to be there. You get to present with emotion, right? And the other thing is that a presentation like that can be certainly live, like I have a bunch of attendees right now. I see all of you in my attendee list. But guess what? Another little trick I do sometimes is I will schedule a webinar and have all the benefit of that time and date specific kind of a thing, but I'm just going to fire it up, record it, and give the presentation. If there's not a lot of interaction necessary, I could just as well do this and record it all by myself. And certainly I could do that just with Camtasia or something, but again, this aspect of time and date specificity is just kind of nice for me. And then the thing that I really love about it is that we certainly leverage these recordings to the max. Gosh, I don't know if I have this window open right now, but let me just see. So this page is a collection, but I have 80 of these. So this is all content that I can leverage. It might not come as a surprise to anybody that at some point in the near future here, I'm going to take all of my webinar recordings and I'm going to kind of categorize them by Camtasia or PowerPoint or marketing, and I'm going to cut them all up and deliver this as a product. So there's a lot of juice in here. Seriously. So I'll get rid of some, but there are a lot of those tidbits and things. that have been done and recorded, and this is one of the ways that I'll just leverage the heck out of it. Another way I leverage it is especially webinar content. If you look at my YouTube channel, it's littered, literally, with snippets that I pull out. Securing your video product. Oh, that's pretty awesome. That might make a good tip for somebody. And why do I do that? Why do I put stuff like that out for free on YouTube? Well, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And I'm firmly of the belief that the more stuff you give away, the better off your business will be. And, you know, I like doing it. I like sharing stuff like that and whatnot, but it turns out it has a really fairly dramatic kind of a business aspect to it, right? So I love me some webinars. I really do. So the other thing we use it, of course, is for pitch webinars. You know, you do an event. You give away a lot of good content. Give people the farm, you know, and then at the end, show them how they can learn more from you, or, you know, something along those lines. And you'd be surprised how well that works. The thing of it is, it's the relationship and authority building that giving a presentation provides to you. All eyes are focused on you, if you will. And if you've ever been to a presentation live, like at a seminar, you got to admit there's a certain amount of respect and authority that's earned by someone from the stage if they earn it. Okay, so doing a good presentation, really, there's nothing you can do pretty much that's more instantly going to solidify that. Webinars for joint ventures and list building is just also been probably the biggest list building thing we do. So we have folks out there that would like to promote our products. Well, what we do is we offer to do a webinar for their people, okay? And they have an affiliate link. So what happens is when their folks register for our webinar, they go on one of our special lists. So we can follow up with them and, you know, let them know that the webinar is coming and remind them, and then say, here's the replay and things like that. So if you think about that, the joint venture partner wins because they get, you know, some quality information that is good for closing sales, and they'll make some commissions. We love it because we get to entertain their folks and build a relationship with new people and build our list. It's awesome. It's huge. You know, there's nothing like a good old-fashioned webinar, I'll tell you that. So some of my basic tips are this. I actually don't care necessarily what webinar platform, because there's, you know, several out there and stuff. I happen to use GoToWebinar because I've been using it a long time, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But here's what I do. I record all webinar presentations with Camtasia, with audio, with system sound. And that's one of the secret sauces there. Most webinar systems, you guys can't hear me. Or tell me if you can. I'll go ahead and play that tune again, and you won't be able to hear it. It's a nice, snappy little piece of music. Here it goes. And can't hear that, can you? Right? So one of the things I get is to, yeah, you can't hear it live during the webinar, but guess what? It's baked into my recording and that leveraged content that I talked about. So using Camtasia, I get to use system audio. Another thing I like about recording with Camtasia is that, of course, I get a Camtasia recorder file, and then when I go to edit it, I can use the cursor effects. So let me click on some screen capture action here, and I'll go to cursor effects. And one of the things in webinars is that, the cursor's teeny tiny and all that good stuff. Well, certainly I can zoom in and edit, and give clarity to an otherwise just full webinar screen. But the other thing is I can also jack up my mouse and put rings and click highlights and stuff like that. So the after the fact juice is that I can edit and I can add things like these types of effects, which kind of helps me out. So I like to record with Camtasia. I generally, depends on how long the webinar is, but these sessions go at least an hour. So here's a cautionary tale I'll give you on that. If you record an hour, hour and a half webinar at 30 frames a second with your Camtasia recorder, you're going to hurt yourself. You know, disk space wise, it's going to be huge, especially if you record full screen, which you should. You should record full screen and then zoom in and stuff in editing. Well, 5 to 10 frames per second is generally fine for most stuff, other than, you know, showing high motion video or something like that. But there's tricks and ways around that anyhow. To keep my file sizes down and manageable, I'll record a typical hour-long presentation at like 5. In fact, a lot of these webinars are at like 3 frames a second, and it'll still be fine, and we'll end up with, you know, a decently manageable video file size. And then, of course, I love to edit, depending upon how I want to use the clip. You know, am I going to put it on YouTube? Well, maybe I'll put a little intro with it and stuff like that, and then whatever other kind of content I end up with. And then the other thing I like about recording the webinars is that a webinar is like an event. It's a good way to engage people and let people watch it at a time and place of their choosing. But there are things called automated webinars. Certainly, if I've recorded my webinar, then I'm going to end up with a video file that I can edit, okay? So if you've ever given a live event, and even tonight, I promise you I've made dozens and dozens of mistakes and things like that, and at the end of the day, maybe I don't need or want to edit all of them out, but think about this for a second. If I can do some editing and make the presentation so much better, if you've done a live event, a live webinar before, you know that, gosh, there's a lot of chatter or fumbling or stumbling or technical issues. Oh, how many times have you seen that? Or a webinar just flat out doesn't work or something like that. Well, if I record a presentation and I can edit it and I can make it an awesome presentation, then one of the things I love to do is allow people to view it as a webinar, but I don't have to present it live. I let the recording, the polished presentation roll, and then show up and man the chat box, for example. But it takes off so much of the pressure because the presentation is already done and it rocks. I don't have to worry about anything. So what am I inclined to do in that case? Well, maybe I do the same webinar a whole bunch of times because I don't have to worry about a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of an evergreen type of a thing. What I don't like that people do when they try to do these is they try to pull them off like they're live. They try to fake people out and position them as some kind of live event. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just really kind of lame. And a lot of webinar systems will actually let you populate the attendee box with fake names. I guess it works or whatever, but to me it just seems like that's just really kind of unethical and lame to me.